Okay, welcome to part 6 of the Compulsory Heterosexuality Am I a Lesbian Masterdoc. Seeing a relationship between two women elicits a much stronger and more real emotion reaction than het relationships ever do. You get anxiety around men and feel more comfortable in settings with women. I mean, don't all women feel more comfortable with women? No. You have very high standards for men that you might date and comparatively lower standards when it comes to women. Being mistaken for a couple with one of your girlfriends is exciting for you, and being mistaken for a couple with one of your guy friends elicits no reaction or feels weird or wrong. It's very specific. None of your girlfriend's partners are ever good enough for them, and you take it very personally, and you don't feel the same way about men you're friends with. Gender feelings. Having a lot of conflicting gender feelings that are only possible to resolve once you understand you are/can be a lesbian. Well, how are you supposed to know that if you don't know? Thinking that being GNC, I don't know what GNC means, and feeling a disconnect from traditional womanhood means that you can't be a woman even if it's what feels closest to right. Many lesbians are GNC, and many lesbians feel disconnected from traditional womanhood since it's so bound up in heteropatriarchy. Knowing you're attracted to women and not being able to parse that, parentheses, especially and any gender non-conformist. Oh, right, sorry, that's what GNC stands for. I am thick. As gay, taking a long time to figure out if you're a straight man or a lesbian. Being dysphoric about the parts of you that make straight men think your body is owed to them. Having to figure out what dysphoria means for/to you. Screenshot. Next page. Knowing you're attracted to women but feeling weirdly guilty and uncomfortable trying to interact with them as a straight man, and only later realising you're actually trans lesbian. Knowing you are gay but experiencing a lot of the symptoms of Comphet when you are trying to interact with men romantically/sexually, and only to realise later that you're trans lesbian and not a gay man. Being non-binary and taking a long time to sort through being able to respect/understand your non-binary identity and your lesbianness at the same time. That must be incredibly difficult. Like, I'm trying to wrap my head around a very simple, are you bi or are you gay, which is complicated enough for me, but I can't imagine trying to figure out your identity along with your sexuality. Considering lesbianism, wanting to be a lesbian but feeling like if you don't already know you are one, you can't be. I had a few people in the comments actually say to me, if you don't know, you aren't, or if you don't know, you probably are. And I just feel like for the people being like, oh, if you have to question it, you're probably not, I just feel like that's really quite destructive. I feel like also different phases and different things that go on in people's lives. Like, some people are married with kids and they come out, in later life as gay or lesbian or whatever. I just think that, you just don't always have it figured out, Feeling guilty about wanting to be a lesbian, feeling like you're just attention seeking or trying to be trendy. You think or fear that you might be a lesbian, and you find yourself somewhat constantly/desperately trying to prove yourself that you're not. Suppressing your lesbian dreams because you think exploring that desire would mean that you're bad/homophobic person, and using lesbianness selfishly. Wishing you were a lesbian to escape the discomfort of dating men. Fantasizing about how much fun it would be to be a lesbian and just be with women/a specific woman, but thinking that it can't be for you. Worrying that some of your past attraction to men was actually real, so you can't be a lesbian. I think part of this talk said at the start, like, even if you've had past relationships with men, you can still be a lesbian. And I think a lot of that is what I'm kind of trying to figure out, because it's like, I've definitely been attracted to men in the past, and I'm definitely bisexual in that sense, but, could I actually be lesbian? This doc says I can, so if you want a screenshot. Worrying that you can't because you can't be 100% sure you're not attracted to men, and can't be 100% sure you won't change your mind, you can't be a lesbian. Worrying that you only want to be a lesbian because of trauma, and that means your lesbianness would be fake. Worrying that trauma-induced complications in how you experience sex, parentheses, e.g. a habit of self-harming via sex with men, or a fear of any sex at all, means you're not a real lesbian. If you want a screenshot. Next page, I think we're getting into like juicy stuff here. Attraction versus compulsory heterosexuality. nervousness and blushing. A ton of romance media and common cultural tropes have this idea that you know you're attracted to someone if you're nervous or blushing around them. Because of this, you might feel like you might be attracted to a man if you feel nervous around him. Just because you're experiencing the physical body response you've been told to expect, not because you actually want to date him. Actual attraction. You're nervous because you're excited to get to know someone. You find them attractive first, and because you're thinking about your attraction to them. You can get self-conscious because you hope that they might like you too. Compulsory heterosexuality. You're nervous because you're aware that he'll loll home and is attracted to you. What? You're nervous because you are aware that he'll loll home and is attracted to you. I don't know what that means. And because he's paying such close attention to you, especially if he's pushing boundaries or getting too close into your personal space. You become self-conscious because you know he's watching you. You blush because you're uncomfortable. Interesting. That is a little bit about what we were talking about earlier, that confusion between butterflies and it actually just being stress and anxiety. And I think that that's something that straight people also need to figure out. I was having this conversation with my friend the other day, and that she was feeling such anxiety and realized that it wasn't sexual chemistry or butterflies or excitement. It was just like her body freaking out. Hypothetical attraction. Many questioning women have a hard time sorting through their attraction because of hypotheticals. Our culture in general disregards or challenges. Is that women and women attraction? And it gives this anxiety that we need to know 100% that we are not and will never be attracted to men, no matter what, in order to claim labels. It's hard to do that as a young person who's just learning about themselves, flooded with, quotes, what ifs about the future. Because of this, you might feel like you can't rule out being attracted to men because you might hypothetically be attracted to men someday. All right, I'm going to move out of the way so you can screenshot. Actual attraction. You might imagine a hypothetical figure where you end up with a man and it feels exciting and it makes you feel good and hopeful and happy and right. It's a nice feeling and it's comfortable to think about, reassuring. Compulsory heterosexuality. You imagine a hypothetical future where you end up with a man and it makes you feel uncomfortable, scared, sad, disappointed, wrong. It's upsetting to think about and you hope it doesn't happen. You don't want to end up with a man even if you feel like you could. Okay, I'm sorry to split this halfway through the page, but this part's quite long, so I have to do another part.